Welcome back to Movie Bites. Today, I'm going to show you an American romantic comedy drama film from 2018 titled Crazy Rich Asians. The movie opens in London, 1995. Eleanor Young arrives at a fancy big hotel with her son Nick, sister Felicity, and niece Astrid, asking at the front desk for a reservation. The clerk and the manager lie about not having her reservation for obvious racist reasons. Eleanor calls her husband, who then calls the owner of the hotel. The owner is good friends with the Young family. He comes downstairs and tells the manager he has sold the hotel to the Youngs, leaving him looking foolish. Eleanor's first act as owner is to order the manager and the clerk to wipe the mud Nick left on the floor. Now the movie jumps to New York, 2018. Rachel Chu is teaching her economics class a lesson by playing poker with a student, whom she beats to the applause of the others. Afterwards, Rachel joins Nick, her boyfriend, for a meal. Nick tells Rachel he wants to take her to his hometown, in Singapore, for the wedding of his best friend. This would be a great opportunity for Nick to introduce Rachel to his family. In the corner, two women from a blog site, called Radio 1 Asia, spot Rachel and Nick, and one of them snaps a picture of the two, as she walks past them. This spreads like wildfire in the Asian community, until it makes its way to Eleanor, who is with her sisters. They start discussing Rachel. She calls Nick and asks him to bring his mysterious girlfriend with him for the wedding. Rachel is with her mom Carrie, and they discuss the fact Nick has never really talked about his family. Rachel thinks they may be poor, and he may be ashamed of that. Rachel and Nick go to the airport, where, to her surprise, they are placed in first class. Nick then reveals his family is very wealthy, and first-class flight is one of their perks. He then tells Rachel about his cousins with whom he shares the fortune. Alastair Chang is a big-shot filmmaker based in Taiwan, who is dating his lead actress Kitty Pond, though she is noted as being a terrible actress. Then there is Alastair's brother Eddie, a banker, who is married to Fiona, and they have 3 children. He is obsessed with her image, and is seen criticizing Fiona because of her dress choice, as it's only good for Chinese Vogue, and not American Vogue. Finally, there is Astrid, who Nick describes as being a sweetheart. She is seen speaking to a little girl, and compliment her teddy bear, before meeting with the jeweler, to purchase earrings worth over $1 million. The couple arrives in Singapore, where they are picked up by Colin and his fiancée. They go around the city and indulge in local food Rachel hasn't tried before. In Astrid's home, she is reading a bedtime story to her son, Cashin, before her husband Michael comes in. He married into the wealthy lifestyle. Astrid tends to hide some of her expensive shoes and jewelry, as to not make him feel small. The next morning, Rachel goes to visit her old college roommate, Peek Lin Go, whose family is also very wealthy, but it's all new money. Rachel meets Lin's parents, Moon and Nina, and her 3 siblings. When Rachel mentions she's dating Nick Young, everyone drops what they're doing, and inform Rachel just how rich the Youngs are. They are the biggest real estate developers in the area, as well as other parts of the world. Rachel tells Lin of the party the Youngs are throwing that evening at Nick's grandmother's home. Lin takes out some fresh clothes for Rachel to wear. Rachel and Lin arrive at the glamorous estate, and Nick invites Lin to stay and enjoy the party. Nick brings Rachel around to meet some of his relatives, including his cousins and aunts, before taking her to meet Eleanor and his grandmother, Shang Suyi. Almost instantly, the family looks down on Rachel for not coming from money like the rest of them. Rachel tells Eleanor how her mother is a single self-made woman working in real estate, and how she is an economics professor, and that her father died before she was born. Eleanor frowns upon this, thinking her mother and Rachel lack ambition. Elsewhere in the party, Astrid is with Michael. When he leaves the room and a text arrives, she checks it and reads a text from another woman, saying, "The bed feels empty without you." The next day, Rachel joins Araminta and her friends for a bachelorette party, while Nick joins his cousins and their gaudy rich schoolmate, Bernard, for Colin's bachelor party. The bachelor party takes place on a freight ship, which has a pool and a dance floor. Eddie criticizes Nick for choosing Rachel, seeing her as merely a commoner, and noting to Colin that his own family wouldn't have accepted Araminta, were she not from a wealthy family herself. Nick and Colin leave the party and head to a spot to relax themselves. Nick reveals an engagement ring that he plans to use to propose to Rachel. Colin notes that Nick already stunned his family by not returning the year earlier to inherit their company, and marrying Rachel would mean to walk away from his inheritance. Meanwhile, the ladies are on an island, where Araminta treats them to a shopping spree and a spa day. Rachel meets one of her friends, Amanda Ling, who then reveals herself as Nick's ex-girlfriend, and starts trying to subtly play with Rachel's feelings. Rachel leaves the spa when she overhears the other girls making snide comments about her. She runs into Astrid, who tries to comfort her. Then they find a dead gutted fish on Rachel's bed in her room with a note saying, "Catch this, you evil gold-digging bitch," written on the window. Astrid helps Rachel bury the fish on the beach, as the other women dance and drink. Astrid then confides to Rachel about Michael having an affair. When they reunite, Rachel tells Nick about what happened with the other women, and she is more upset because he didn't tell her about any of his past, but he felt none of it mattered. He later brings Rachel to Eleanor's house so that she can learn how to make dumplings. Rachel then notices Eleanor's ring, which she says Nick's father made to propose to her. Eleanor then makes a patronizing remark about Rachel not feeling the same way about her old-fashioned traditions. Later, as Rachel is trying to find a room, Eleanor clarifies that the ring her husband gave her was made only because he did not initially approve of Eleanor for her son, and it took a while for her to come around. However, Eleanor makes it firmly clear to Rachel she doesn't think Rachel is good enough for Nick. Rachel has lunch with Lynn and says she may skip the wedding because she worries she may cause drama among Nick's family. Lynn convinces her otherwise and brings Rachel back to her house to pick out a nice outfit for the wedding with the help of Nick's cousin, Oliver. On the way to the wedding, Astrid confronts Michael about his affair. Michael tries to turn it around on her for making him feel inferior, with her constantly buying expensive items. He gets out of the car to leave her to attend the wedding alone. Rachel turns up at the wedding and impresses everyone with her dress, and even manages to stun Amanda when she tells her she's in her way. Eleanor and her sisters note Princess Essington is there and that she requested a whole row to herself so nobody could bother her. To their surprise, Rachel approaches her and talks to her about how she read an article about her. Rachel admires how she spent her wealth. Essington takes a liking to Rachel. Even Nick sees how great Rachel looks. The wedding then goes on, with Nick telling Rachel he loves her and vice versa. Colin and Amarinta get married. During the reception, Eleanor orders Oliver to stop Alistair and Kitty from humping each other on the dance floor. Oliver interrupts them and sends Alistair away, before dancing with Kitty and telling her if she married Alistair, she would have to wait, because he is fourth in line to his family's fortune, while Bernard is the sole heir to his family's business. Meanwhile, Rachel and Nick are called to meet with Eleanor, where Eleanor reveals she hired a private investigator to dig into Rachel's past. It turns out, Rachel's biological father is still alive. Rachel's mother was previously married to another man, before she cheated on him with Rachel's father, and fled to America. Nick is furious at Eleanor, and Rachel runs away from the party, telling Eleanor she wants no part of her family. Nick tries to catch her, but she's gone. Rachel stays with Lynn, and is really depressed. The following morning, Rachel is surprised to find Carrie showing up to the house. When Rachel brings up the matter about her father, Carrie explains her original husband was abusive to her and she took comfort with a school friend, who later got her pregnant with Rachel. Fearing that her husband would kill them if he found out, Carrie fled to America. She also reveals it was Nick who called her out of concern for Rachel. On the other hand, Michael packs his bags to leave. Astrid says she is instead taking their son with her to live in one of her other apartments. She tells Michael she doesn't expect him to act like a man because he is not one. She then takes the earrings she bought earlier and hid from Michael and finally wears them. Nick meets with Rachel in the city. He takes out his ring and proposes to her. Eleanor goes to a spot downtown where people are playing mahjong after Rachel invited her. Rachel tells Eleanor she turned down Nick's proposal because she doesn't want to be the reason for his family disowning him. She notes if he chose them over her, Nick might spend the rest of his life resenting Eleanor. Eleanor says only a fool folds a winning hand. At the same time, Rachel draws a mahjong tile which would complete her hand and win her the game. She replies she loves Nick so much, she is willing to sacrifice her happiness for his. She tells Eleanor to remember, when Nick finds someone else in the future who Eleanor approves of, and is happily married, it was her, a daughter of an immigrant and a nobody, who made it all possible. She then throws the tile away. Eleanor picks it up and wins the mahjong game. Rachel then shows her hand, letting everyone know she just let Eleanor win and leaves with Carrie, who gives Eleanor a hard glare. Eleanor goes home to have a personal talk with Nick. Rachel and Carrie prepare to leave, to go back to New York, but Nick shows up on the plane to try and talk to Rachel. He explains what his ideal proposal would have been, but he doesn't care about it, because he loves her so much, and would give up his whole fortune, just to spend the rest of his life with her. Nick proposes once again on the airplane, but this time with Eleanor's ring. With all the passengers watching, Rachel says yes this time. Everyone cheers as she and Nick share a big kiss. Nick tells her he would like her to stay just one more night. Nick later surprises her by throwing an engagement party on a rooftop with all of his friends and family attending. Eleanor even manages to give her a sincere smile. Rachel and Nick kiss as fireworks explode across the sky. Midway through the credits, Astrid meets a man named Charlie Wu, and there appears to be sparks between them. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. It helps us a lot.